It is time for another viewer game, and what I got for you today is a Silver League Protoss versus Terran. The Protoss player is saying GFHL dudes, enjoy StarCraft and play fair. I don't know what that is all about, but anyway, in the bottom right corner we have the Silver League Terran player playing with the red Terran pieces. He is known as Morsus, and oh my god, hold that thought for a second. Literally, okay, well, hold on. So first off, we got the Protoss player in the top left, who's valiantly mining with 2 probes. He's known as Dampfhammer, who I like to be, or I'd like to assume right there that that is indeed going to be a German nickname. But anyways, like one of the most recent games that I uploaded was indeed a drone rush. Is this a probe rush? This shouldn't work in Protoss versus Terran. The Terran should be able to wall off. Right? Is he gonna go for a wall off? I'm not entirely sure if that is going to be the plan, but regardless, Dampfhammer will indeed try to make his way across the map. There we go, the SUV is moving in a little bit on the later end. Did we get it? Oh. Turns out that SUV indeed did not make it, and parts of it are indeed flying above the map now, as apparently the probes have made their way across the map, and of course they regenerate shields here. One SUV valiantly trying to get out of the main base. I think he may very well try and do some scouting with it, or potentially make another building somewhere else. But anyways, these SUVs are going to be in a lot of trouble. The probes trying to mineral walk through. They do indeed end up catching one of the SUVs that was trying to mine. But with that, I mean, there's one SUV still valiantly trying to keep this barracks up and running. I'm starting to be a little bit worried here because I'm afraid that that barracks will indeed not finish, and it may very well be forced to get cancelled here. Morsus having his SUVs in a bit of an awkward position. Apparently, indeed, yeah, he's going to have to leave that main. He's going to lift up the command center, and on top of that, he is now producing a barracks as well. The other one in the main base does indeed get forced to be... I'm pretty sure you don't see that on the ground if it was cancelled. Regardless, that one is indeed taken care of as well. And the SUV that was indeed apparently gathering some Vespian gas will get on out of there as well. Now, the SUVs in the meantime, the rest of them that is, of Morsus, have made their way to the other end of the map. They're now chilling right next to the Nexus because apparently they have never seen such high-level technology before. Because, of course, you know, they're just simple SUVs. They don't really know about all these technological advancements like these probes of Dampfhammer do. Dampfhammer being caught in a bit of an awkward angle as well. The SUV did just end up finishing up constructing that barracks, and while the command center right now is at the third, the SUVs have finally started responding, and they're fighting. They're fighting against a bunch of probes. Get him, guys, get him. Apparently one of the probes is hanging out over here. He is indeed going to be producing a gateway now as well. One of the probes will end up falling, and we have a bit of a worker rush versus worker rush kind of scenario. Morsus is not mining anymore, though. There are still a few probes here out as well, and the probes of the Protoss player have made their way home. They're not attack moving. They're not mineral walking either. Oh my god, look at that. No, don't do that. Well, that certainly puts the Protoss in a great lead. It is right now 16 workers versus only 4. Mules are good, but they're not quite that good, and in particular when you don't have any because you don't have the resources to get yourself an orbital command. So here's the thing, right? He was move commanding here. The Terran has been move commanding all this time, pretty much. I mean, there's 2 options, okay? Either attack move, so they attack right as soon as they, you know, come in touch with any of the opposing units, which was one of the correct options right there. And the second one for, in particular, workers, right? Or really only workers, so be it probes, SUVs, or drones, is to simply use mineral walk. If you right-click a bunch of them on top of a mineral patch, they will walk through all of the enemy units that will indeed come in contact with them. Regardless, though, right now I'm starting to look a little bit... It's starting to look a little bit worrisome right here for the Terran player. Yeah, he's asking what was that about playing fair, because apparently, well, Dampfhammer did indeed give him a little bit of a warning about playing fair, which obviously probably does mean when he communicates it as clearly as he did here that he's not going to be playing very fair. He does have, you know, he does have a couple of Marines out, and while there is a Zealot here with some micro, it may very well go down here. Marines immediately gunning away at it. Oh my god, of course, not attack moving. Guys, attack move, it's so helpful. And eventually, indeed, while that Zealot does get a hit in, 2 hits in, that Marine will have to take some damage, but other than that, they do pick up that kill. And while there are 2 gateways out right now, and there's a single Zealot ready to defend with proper micro, it can be, you know, it can be killed here as well. Now it looks like the Terran is just simply trying to build up some economy. He floated that barracks back home. The Marines are indeed gunning away right now at the Zealots. There's a second Zealot out right now as well. With some good micro, he can actually still get it, but that's going to be very, very tricky to do. Gotta have some crazy stutter stepping. Nice target firing there, actually. Oh, one of the Marines indeed does have to pay for that with its life as well. The 2 Marines that are left over trying their very best to get it, but the one gets sliced up in half. That was a dirty animation right there, and the last one indeed does float to the surface as well. And right now, it looks like Morsus is starting to produce more Marines at home. I have no idea if there's even a remote chance of the Terran player winning this. I mean, let's look at this, right? Objectively right now. As far as income goes, Terran is very far behind. As far as supply and army goes, Terran is very far behind. As far as technological advancements go, I mean, there is a forge out and there is also a cybernetics core. The Terran is very far behind. He is getting himself another barracks here as well. He's got a bunker as well right now for home defense. But of course, the one advantage that he does have is that his opponent is also in Silver League. So that does mean that there is a lot of potential for different ways of coming back. I'm not entirely sure what the Zealots are trying to do over here. Apparently, he's feeling confident enough that he does not need these units at home. But there are a few Adepts now in the main as well as a couple of... Yeah, there's no way the Terran is really going to be able to do a whole lot here. And I'm guessing that both players are just going to try and sit back and start making some units now instead. I think this is a good downtime, right? If you are having some crazy games, just like the one right here, that you would like me to cast, you can now go ahead and submit your replays to replays@LowkoTV. Motlesis has been very nice. He's been going through a whole lot of the replays and he's been selecting the best ones for me because we have been receiving quite a lot of them. But basically what that means is that, I mean... if you have a crazy match, right, and it's wild, I mean, this is definitely classified as a wild game. He's actually still looking for that command center. If you have something crazy, definitely go ahead and submit it, and we'll have a look. And, you know, if it's weird enough and it's a really good one, I may very well end up casting it right now as well. Now, apparently there is a Reaper out here for the Terran player. He's going to be able to get up in there. I don't know if he's seen... No, he hasn't seen the cannons at the front, but of course, he can just simply use the cliff dumping no matter what. There is a single Marine here in that bunker. It is going to be surprisingly good against a few units here that are from the Protoss, but it looks like he may have spotted a glimpse or something of one of these units, as he is indeed not quite attack moving just yet. One of these Reapers... Oh my god, guys, attack move, attack move. Okay, eventually that Stalker apparently does indeed get the final hit in as well. The two Reapers that were left over are gonna make their way into the main base, and I will be able to figure out very shortly that apparently the Protoss player thinks he can support 2 gateways off of a single base economy. Now, the Micro right there getting that Stalker back to safety, although not quite getting to safety because it's still being shot at by the Marines rather at this point, and indeed it does end up falling. Of course, in the meantime, these two Reapers are not getting taken care of at all. They're getting free reign right now, and this is starting to be a little bit crazy actually. Hold that thought, because there is going to be a lot of aggression here on the Protoss' end of the map as well. He's losing all of his economy, while the Terran player is indeed also under pressure here, trying desperately to produce some more stuff. Both players have got a ton of resources here to make some things, but there are no bunkers or whatever available right now for either of them, really having no defenses here whatsoever. Apparently, the Protoss army is trying to gun down a single reactor that is not producing anything to begin with, and at this point, all of the probes are gone. There are 0 workers left for the Protoss player. What's going on here? How did he even get to this scenario? He didn't micro that whatsoever. The building right there does indeed get cancelled at the very last second. And once again, the SUVs are getting on out of there. This is starting to be a little bit crazy. There are still, of course, enough Protoss units right now. Or rather, enough Protoss economy, rather, to keep on producing more stuff. The command center will be able to lift up and get on out of there as well. He could even be loading some SCVs into it. But right now, part of the SCVs are on the western end of the map, where the other ones are desperately trying to stay alive, while the Zealots and the few Adepts that are left over are trying to kill everything. One of the start gates does indeed get unpowered. Still no production here from the Protoss for quite a little while. I guess he's been really busy microing the few units that he had here on the other end of the map, and he does indeed start producing a probe once more. Lucky for him, he's not supply blocked. If he would have been supply blocked right here, there would be no way of actually getting anything. And he actually gets a mothership core. He gets a mothership core first before anything else, which is actually a pretty good decision, because he's got to be able to get rid of these Reapers here once and for all, once it does indeed come out. But he needs workers. If he hits a supply block here, that's going to be GG, because there's literally nothing he could be building. But of course, the SCVs apparently managed to hide somewhere out on the map. The command center is heading over to the top right location, and I guess he's gonna start doing some mining from there. I guess that's the plan. Photon overcharge does go down on one of the pylons. Apparently the Reapers do get on out of there as well, but eventually probes are gonna be produced again, and the SCVs have found a new home. What is even going on? a few of the SCVs apparently have built a couple of supply depots in the bottom left corner of the map. There's still a single barracks up in the main base as well. One of the barracks that didn't get produced on the other end with the initial SCV that managed to squeeze away from the Protoss is also like out somewhere on the map, and right now an engineering bay will go down as well as a bunker. I'm guessing that this is a response to seeing all of these Stargates when he managed to get to his opponent's main base. So he wants to go ahead and get himself some missile turrets at the very least. That's what I am assuming here. But this is crazy. Like, what's even going on here? There are still 2 adepts out. Apparently the zealots and the adepts have magically made their way to these depots? No. How would you even guess that? I guess he's trying to look around for where his opponent's command center went, and he does find the depots there, surprisingly enough. A couple of the Reapers were trying to check out the natural of his opponent, but he will be moving back home as well. And honestly, at this point, this could be anyone's game. For the first time here, I'm gonna have to give the upper hand right here to the Terran player. He's getting himself a planetary fortress. Oh my god. Why would you... Okay, I guess it makes a little bit of sense, but orbital commands are so valuable. Like, mules mine for so many resources. Then again, he's not spending the resources that he's got right now to begin with anyway. Still producing more and more of those Reapers as well. The depots will eventually end up burning here as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this last one does indeed end up falling too. Nice little bit of micro there, splitting off the adepts and making sure that he gets himself, you know, a little bit of aggression done on all of those Reapers too. One of them do indeed end up falling. Tricky fight here though. Not entirely sure if you want to go ahead and take this, because indeed one of the adepts will end up falling. The second one may go down as well. There indeed it does end up falling, not using the shade ability whatsoever, using the all army hotkey to micro as well. It's hurting me just a little bit, but it's okay. The probe or the Marine Corps did float to the surface there. The Reapers are getting some distance, and maybe... Oh, I guess it already burned down. I was gonna say maybe that depot can indeed stay alive here for the time being. Apparently, somehow, the Protoss has built himself up a couple of workers once again. The Terran is doing the exact same thing, and he's actually also mining on the other end of the map. Now, the Protoss has absolutely no clue what his opponent is up to, whereas the Terran has got a reasonable understanding. Yeah, for that very reason, the Void Ray is indeed making his way across the map. He's trying to figure out exactly where his opponent spawned, but while he is researching the +1 upgrade right now for Terran Marines, which is incredible, or Terran Bio Army in general, there is no anti-air. He's gonna need some missile turrets once he sees this Void Ray. Now, lucky for him, the Void Ray does indeed make his way straight to the main base, so he will be able to see it right here. The Reapers also trying to scout it head first. Apparently they're gonna have to pay for that with their lives, but I think that is a valuable scout, as he will be able to start countering air units very shortly. He does need some of them though. Okay, there we go. I was gonna say he does need some missile turrets if he wants to play this one out. He immediately starts up 3 of them. And, I mean, he's still producing at the very least, right? I mean, Damphammer is eventually going to be able to get himself some more economy as well. He's still producing some of these probes, and he is indeed getting more Void Rays out. But still, the Protoss has no clue where the Terran's bases are currently at. And he's also not really trying to find out. I mean, he checked out the bottom left corner of the map. He has checked out the 3rd base location as well. And this is not the final building. You know that, right, Damphammer? There's no revelation right now, right now just yet. I mean, if you would have killed the last buildings, it would have showed up just like that on the minimap. And while that assimilator does end up falling, Morsus is still sitting pretty on actually a pretty reasonable economy. Somehow, some way though, Damphammer has made himself back into the supply lead. Right now he is leading with roughly 50% more supply than his opponent. Of course, these Void Rays are extremely good. When in doubt, make Void Rays is definitely a good rule to live by when you are a Protoss player in Silver League, because they sort of just counter everything. But of course, at the same time, Morsus does still have got a reasonable amount of eco himself. And, I mean, still, the Protoss player is getting so close, but he has no idea. He has no idea that all of the Terran units are indeed hiding right behind these bushes. And now, he will indeed find out. No! Don't do that to me! Don't do that to me! You're losing all your stuff! You're losing all... Oh my god, once again. Move commanding. Guys, hit A and then click whenever you move your units around. That way they will start fighting as soon as they get in touch with something and at least do anything whatsoever. Of course, if you are running grid hotkeys, the hotkey is gonna be a little bit different, but regardless, like, you really want to try and use that whenever you are moving any units around. I would say make that your default move, and sometimes use the right click command, or, you know, the move command rather, to move your units across the map in very specific scenario. But apparently, Damphammer is feeling confident enough. He's got himself a Phoenix as well as a Void Ray right now at home to get himself the Nexus on the low ground. And I mean, while this is looking a little bit crazy, he is not out of this game just yet. I mean, Marsus is just simply not spending his resources. He's currently got over 1,000 minerals while trying to macro out a single base. He's getting himself some depots as well after realizing that he is indeed supply blocked, and that's really what, you know, has been a saving grace right here for Dumbhammer. He's been spending his resources much better. He's also not been getting any supply blocks here whatsoever. And apparently he's going up to a fleet beacon. I love it. Will he be going for carriers or will he be going for Tempest? Those are really the two options that he's got. I don't think he wants to go for the upgrade right here on the Phoenixes. I mean, I would be very surprised. A couple of Reapers, once again, trying to make their way across the map. They will be able to get in there eventually and figure out that there is an expansion up. Seems like those were on attack move finally, but here we go. The cannons at the front. They will be able to deal some damage, and all of the Reapers will have to pay for that as well. And I mean, I'm starting to be a little bit worried. Finally, Terran is adding on some production, though. It looks like he's getting himself that factory. He's getting himself a couple more barracks as well. He's already got 2 of them. I don't know exactly if he's got any of them hotkeyed, but regardless, he will be able to start producing quite a lot of stuff. I think he is going to need another expansion here in just a little bit, because this one will start running dry very shortly. It's important to start thinking about that early rather than later. And indeed, a single SCV is moving across to just start mining again. Did I just make a ring around Rosie? I guess it had some difficult times trying to squeeze through all of the buildings right now, because there's a lot of walls over here. And actually, Protoss magically has managed to get himself some economy once again. Now, he is indeed producing that carrier upgrade, which is absolutely insane. Like, apparently he really needs that. And apparently we got the high-sec auto tracking here as well. If I'm not mistaken, that's the icon anyway for the high-sec auto tracking for the Terran player, which will indeed increase the range of these missile turrets as well as the planetary fortress by 1, making them a little bit better. I don't think they affect the Cyclones by any stretch, but he will be able to start producing some pretty good anti-air units. Of course, it does require a little bit of lock-on micro on the Cyclones' point of view, but I mean, Marines, they are always very, very good at taking down a lot of these buildings, right? And they will be able to start taking down the air units from the Protoss with relative ease as well. Dumbhammer, still producing more and more carriers, and actually this is kind of terrifying. Generally speaking, carriers are not that amazing against Terran, but of course, one thing you have to keep in mind here is that if you get enough of them, and somehow, some way the Terran is allowing you to get a lot of them, generally speaking, they will be able to dish out a ton of damage, but usually they are a little bit more powerful against Zerg in particular, just because they have a really hard time at dealing with all of the interceptors, as all of the units are such low HP. But then again, the Terran Marines, they fire super quickly, and the Cyclone could lock on as well to a lot of these Protoss units. Now, he is still allowing the Protoss, though, to get a base up for a very long time. It looked like right there, indeed, that 3rd Nexus ended up going up as well, and we do see the air weapons upgrade, plus a 1 research going up right now for Dumbhammer as well. So he's really trying to just simply sit back and make a lot of stuff, which I think in many instances is the bad call, but in this instance I definitely do like it. I mean, he's got himself an economy lead. He is spending his resources far better than his opponent is, which really is critical in StarCraft 2. Of course, all of these units are really expensive, which makes it a little bit easier to do so, but here we go. It looks like he has found himself quite a lot of army, but he will be caught off guard here. Look at all of the Terran units. Terran units, do you fight? There we go. They are indeed going to be moving in. They will be pushing onwards. We'll need to lock on micro, though, with these Cyclones. Not quite doing so just yet. Cyclones not doing a whole lot of anything. They're trying to right-click right there on top of all of those units. Eventually, he does indeed get the lock-on as well, but that carrier will live for a little while longer. Move it away! Move it away, and he gets it! He gets that thing there as well, just barely in the nick of time. And at this point, there's only a single Tempest out in the natural of the Protoss player, and all of the Marines are indeed on the high ground. They do not have Stimpak or any of that research just yet, but they do have +1 attack, and I think that this may be a very tricky fight. Of course, the Tempest trying to move out of trouble right there. +1/+1 is indeed done on all of those units, and eventually, right, look at this. This is doing a lot of damage. The Tempest will end up falling, and will this be game right here, right now? The Terran has indeed got a very solid amount of units here now, obviously banking up a lot of resources, but he does start spending here once again with a few of these Cyclones. If only he would send the rest of his army across the map, he would be almost guaranteed to take this game right here, right now. He is target firing down, however, on that carrier rather, and all of these little interceptor dudes, they're dealing damage. They're dealing damage. There we go. Eventually, it does indeed end up falling, which is good for him, but those Tempests still did a lot of damage. Now, in the meantime, this Nexus has been up and running for a little while, and while the natural Nexus does indeed end up falling, one thing to keep in mind is that this Nexus at the 3rd has not been spotted just yet. and more carriers are on the production tab. Main base is starting to run very, very low here for Damphammer, and really, once again, this could still be anyone's game. The Tempest apparently out in the open, trying his very best to get some damage in. He will need to lock onto these units, and eventually he does get that as well. The Marines, with these upgrades, actually surprisingly powerful, even without the Stimpack research. They do have combat shield right now as well, which makes them significantly better against all of these engagements. And if these Tempests just simply run in one by one, they will indeed end up falling very, very rapidly. I mean, once again, right, the Cyclone lock-on will be good. Apparently, the high ground vision right there was lost, so that Tempest will be alive for a little while longer. 2 of the carriers being produced right now at a single given time as well. But the third base is mining. Look at that, right? Morsu is once again banking up a lot of resources. He's got himself another planetary fortress up here in the north as well. Not a single mule has been landed in this Terran versus Protoss, which is indeed a very, very significant deal. Because, I mean, mules are a very big chunk of the Terran's economy, and without them, it's very tricky to do a whole lot. Now, of course, that does include spending right now as well. Of course, we do see a lot of Marines in production, as well as more and more Cyclones, which I actually quite like, although I really would have liked to see the Stimpack research being finished up right about right now. He's got +2/+1 done. He's even got the high sec auto tracking. He's even got the research on these armory units right here, or the mechanical units rather, but there's no Stimpack. That would have made these fights so much easier. Once again, though, the Protoss definitely moving far too far out on the map. Get out of there! Get out of there, dudes. You gotta max out first before you really do anything. That's kind of your goal when you play these kind of strategies. You need to get as many units as you can and then engage. Apparently, the rocks are on the fire and the Protoss is not having it. He's smelling blood. He doesn't want those rocks. Those rocks were his. He's protecting what is truthfully his as well, even though they both managed to get to this aquarium together with this, you know, abyssal reef and the beautiful underwater plants. But once again, though, that third base is bringing in a lot of economy, and Damphammer is still spending much better than his opponent. I'm just starting to be a little bit worried because he's really not making an army that is particularly great here. I mean, sure, they would have been powerful if he wouldn't been giving them away all the time, right? Like, he's positioning them so aggressively. You really want to try and abuse the high ground if you get to this position. If you manage to get to the high grounds, obviously you can indeed shoot for such a long distance with these Tempests, and the carriers will just be in such a safe location. But once again, he's moving out here. You don't want to move out, don't do it. There's so many Terran units right at your front door. Looks like the Terran, however, is misreading the situation. For right now, there is a single missile turret that he's backing up to. I love that. The single missile turret is gonna, of course, deal with all of these interceptors really, really nicely. But now with a few medevacts out as well, Stimpack eventually does get researched. And I think that is indeed the plan. He's gonna make a big amount of Terran units and just simply stomp his way up the ramp here of the Protoss, because I don't think he knows of the fact that there is a third base, and I don't think he is suspecting it at this point in time either. Still though, a lot of research going down here, chrono boosting down a bunch of these upgrades rather than the units. I think you really want to prioritize units. He's even getting the shields research now as well in that forge, which will indeed aid out these Protoss air units as well. But with double Tempest going down, I mean, what is he really gonna be making here? Tempest, of course, very expensive units as well. They take about half as long as the carriers to produce, so you do get them out much faster. But look at all of these Terran units. There are so many of them right now. You do have to target fire though. Lock onto all of these abilities as soon as you can. Use the Stimpack because it's extremely good, but it looks like it may not even matter. There we go. Stimpack finally being activated at the 23-minute mark for the very first time in this match. A lot of the Terran units are indeed falling as well. However, he's still assuming that his opponent is only on a single base. That base would have been mined out a very long time ago. Once again, move commanding, not target firing properly. You will be able to get that one Tempest down as well, and with that, a few of the interceptors too, the new carriers that were indeed on production, will come out now as well. But once more, moving out so far on the map, he will be able to take those out as well. And the final Tempest, what I think will be the final Tempest anyway, will start taking so much damage. And with these Terran reinforcements coming out, he could be in such a good location if only he knew of this third base. Have a peek, dude. You've got nothing to lose. Have a little peek. Protoss will always have more bases. Just assume the worst. Get over there. Good. Yeah, he's actually listening. No, this already was played, of course. I'm casting a replay here. This has already happened, Lowko. You can't call people out to do this because it won't work like that. Mersus, though, knows about the cannons right here on the high ground. More and more Tempests and carriers are being produced once again. If only Damphammer would have saved them up. If only he would have saved them up. He would have been in such a brilliant position Still though, much better production now here from Morsus. I've been criticizing his macro for the majority of this game, but right now he's got the macro down. He's producing non-stop. He's getting a lot of income here, and he's spending all of the resources, and immediately you can see, right, that brings a huge amounts of advantage here, and eventually he figures out indeed that there is another base out. He will be able to start dealing some damage to that one as well, which will make this game significantly easier, and GG does get called with Dampfhammer. Apparently giving him the good game right there. Morsus responding with good try as well. So that does mean that even though Morsus had like 4 workers versus 16 probes earlier on into this game, somehow, some way, he managed to squeeze himself out in another victory. I'm not sure how that even happened here. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this match. If you did, he's GGing, but he's not leaving. Now, if you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. And while you're at it, you can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Links are in the description of this video. But for now, I want to thank you all very much so for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.